right, everybody. Good morning and good afternoon. Kind of a slow day again today, but I want to break it all down with you guys. Another day of discipline, but a lot of stuff in there that I want to talk about. A lot of little nuances that are very important with what we saw today. I'm very happy with today, though, and despite the lack of opportunity, like I said, I'm pretty happy with it. I don't think I could have really done anything differently. So I'm gonna break it down here with you and talk through everything that I saw this morning, what I did, and when I did what I did, and we're gonna break it all down that way you can do it too going into the rest of this week. Now, as you know, last week we came in, it was a pretty good week. We had 3 hour and 4 hour days pretty much back to back. It was a pretty good week last week, actually. It was really surprising, to be honest. But really good opportunity last week. You come in yesterday, it's a little bit slow. Had a small green day yesterday, not a whole lot to trade. You come in today and sort of had a similar feel. We had a lot more moving in pre-market this morning, but those movers didn't really hold up out of market open too well. So we're going to show you that here. Now, we came into the bell, and again, I was watching a few stocks this morning. Pull up my notepad here. And I had CANF, NFO, AMIX, and CMND. And now, the only ones from this list that actually met criteria were CANF and CMND. And so I played my CANF here at market open, and of course, this looks pretty good. So look at this. This is a grade A setup. At least it looked really good. And so we have the trend here formed from pre-market, which as you can see, let me get zoomed out a little bit here so you can actually see what we're talking about. And so we had this, look at this break of this tightening wedge. We have this lower high. All right, cool. Well, as we go into market open, this tries to break out. Look what happens here. It tries to break down this first candle. This first candle rejects and puts in place a big topping tail off the high here. Well, that's what we're going to use here again to define our entry because again, right? It rejects off this high. And so it knifes back to the lows. And then after knifing back underneath that opening price, it begins to gap back up and it tests top the candle, then breaks. So we have this opening range breakout here that I'm looking for a continuation out of. And so I take this with a little bit of, I had a starter size position on this. I didn't take much size, but I took a starter trying to get this to go. And unfortunately, we just didn't. And so I take the entry here, as you can imagine, taking it here, risking off the bottom of this candle to see if we couldn't get that continuation higher. Because this thing had room to 70 cents and $1 today. So I'm like, all right, this thing could really get going. And it just didn't. And this thing, it fakes out. Again, despite having this clean opening range break out this topping tail off the high, it literally ate this wick in a big way. I'm looking for that thing to follow through. It even gave us a nice little pullback. Looked like it wanted to get squeezing higher, and it just didn't. So took a small loss here. I was even watching pullbacks too to set up off this dip to see if it couldn't get pulling back to squeeze back higher. And so I had a starter here. I was going to get some ads on a pullback, and I didn't because it never set up for me again. So thankfully, just had a starter there. And of course, on the next trade here, I take it again. I see it start to consolidate here off the 90 MA, looking like it wants to get curling higher. And I'm pretty much break even on this one here. This one was kind of weird. It overall was just trading very odd. I know it has a 21.5 million share float, but I know all that aside. Look what happens here. So it breaks the highs here, tries to. Big wick off the high, literally instantly knifes back down lower. So this one here, I am small red on today. I'm red on my starter, and of course I came here and took a break-even trade on the second entry, so didn't get any of this back. Just overall really odd price action. Now, of course, we came in the market open with CMND as well, and I played this quite well. Try to play some pullbacks out of the open here, scalp it up through its highs because we have this tightening wedge. Look at this. This also breaks to the upside going into the open. I'm like, all right, it looks pretty good. And so I'm looking to see this continue higher here on this break. And so as it breaks out, I'm trying to use this wick back here as our sort of area of liquidity to define my risk off of. And so I take the first 1 minute pullback here, risking off of this low. And so you figure I'm in here at 37 cents, risking off 36 cents, about a cent of risk. And I was able to catch a move here back up into about 40 cents a share. I get the rest taken out. It pulls back. I try to add back for the move back higher, and I just don't really get any follow through. So it didn't really get a whole lot here. Very small green on this. It is what it is. No follow through, no resolution, but still traded it quite well, which again, I'm very happy with. So traded this really well. You can even see here the confluence we had off these higher lows. So we had this really wide channel to try and play here, and I was looking to see if this didn't want to get curling back higher. It didn't. So again, small wins here, and that's really all we could do. And then you look over at Lobo. Lobo was the nice one that I actually had today. So Lobo was one that I really liked today. I didn't at first. Even talked about this morning. Most of its volume today came up here into the highs. So that's where this gets pretty interesting because this makes this tremendous move here from under 50 cents all the way to about 60 cents a share initially. And not a whole lot of volume through here. And so this whole move up here was on quite light volume. And so it's very hollow all through here. There's not a whole lot to hold price up, right? So it's sort of walking on stilts is how I like to say it. And so the problem with that is I didn't like these pullbacks for a couple of reasons. For one, the spread here was probably 2 or 3 cents. And on a 50-cent stock, that's a problem. But Even more so than that, the bigger issue here was the fact that we have no volume here to hold price up off these pullbacks, nothing to really base price off of. And so volume comes in here. So we now have volume sitting through this price range here. And so the better entry here is actually on this next pullback, where I actually have some sort of confirmed base to trade off of. And so I start to see this curl off this past low here back over the 90 MA. And so I take it there, of course, risking off this past candle's low for the range up back into the previous high of day. And I got that here to a T. Then it pulls back again. I'm able to trade that range again. I take it back off the pullback. And again, I capture back up into the highs. And of course, as it breaks this previous low, I go ahead and take my full exit at entry and walk away with my profit. So I'm actually sitting here pretty nice today with 2 wins on Lobo. Again, the biggest thing was, again, just leaving this alone through here until it actually put in place a proper range. Once it did that and we actually had proper volume sitting through this price range, we could actually take some higher conviction trades and do something pretty good with this. But a lot of the stuff out there today just either had really large spreads or really bad price action. Like, look at CGTL here. A lot of people were lured into playing this today because they just don't focus on strict stock selection. And so this thing was setting up and putting in place a really tight wedge here, which everybody was trying to play. Everybody I saw out there in chat today was trying to play this. I'm like, this price action is terrible. It's so barcodey. Spreads weren't that big of an issue, but it was so barcodey, you can't even really get a good read on what's happening. Because whenever price action is hesitant, like barcodey-wise, I can't tell if it's just barcodey. I can't tell if it's hesitant. I can't tell if buyers are in control, sellers are in control. I cannot tell anything by price action on a stock that is barcodey. That is why we don't trade barcodey stocks. They're just not readable. So this thing flushes, look towards the end of the morning, from 120 all the way to the 60s, a 50-cent drawdown into the late morning session. Just an absolutely nasty setup. And this thing was gross all morning. I had pulled it up back here and I was watching it. And of course, it was so slow. And I didn't trade it because, again, the price action, it was just nuts. It was so bad. It was just so bad. You look over at WLDS. Again, you have the same story here. Look at that. All of this. So spready. So spready. Price action terrible. But this is stuff that people will go and play because they see nothing else to trade. And so they don't stick to the A+ setups, and they go and say, oh, we have a wedge break here to the upside. Let me go chase this. They go chase these pretty green candles, and then they get knifed and say, oh, woe is me, the market's a scam. But you've got to sit back and stay picky. So all in all, that pretty much summed up the morning for me. The day of being disciplined, the day of being picky. Overall today, 4 green trades and 2 losses. That's just how the cookie crumbles today. Overall, pretty much flat. Yesterday, a little green day. Last week, pretty much all green in a good way last week. It was really nice. But that'll do it. So, traded well today. Very happy. The big thing is just celebrating the small wins, staying optimistic every day. As you come in tomorrow, I'm hoping for much better opportunities as we head into the holidays. But that being said, if you did learn a thing or two, make sure to subscribe as always for daily content just like this. And make sure to claim your 14-day free trial. Not 7 days like usual. Your 14-day free trial down in the description below. That way you can actually watch me trade these stocks in real time every single day. Get my alerts, my watch list, my chat room, scanners, news, and so much more. And that being said, I will catch you back there tomorrow for an awesome day in the market, and I'll see you there.